And looks like our timer is counted down. So I'm going to stop my, I don't know, do you need an introduction, Kurt?
You can introduce me.
Okay. So anyways, my name is Garland. I am the marketing director of PresentationPoint. And it gives me great pleasure to introduce Kurt Dupont, who is the founder of PresentationPoint. And PresentationPoint is a company that's been in business over 23 years now. And our client list includes many of the largest companies in the world. And we focus on digital signage and real-time data, reporting, live dashboards, and things like that. And today, Kurt's going to be telling us all about how to do infographics in PowerPoint. So I'm going to turn it over to Kurt, and I'm going to stop the other videos so that we can listen uninterrupted. Please feel free to ask questions in chat, and Kurt will be happy to answer them for you. So go with it, Kurt.
Thanks, Garland, for the introduction. So we are going to talk about creating infographics or using infographics in PowerPoint. First of all, we have to give a definition. Infographics are graphic visual representations of information, data, or knowledge intended to present information quickly and clearly. They can improve cognition by utilizing graphics to enhance the human visual system's ability to see patterns and trends. That's the definition. So basically, what we often see is that people are using sentences, letters. They are really typing a letter on a slide, and that's not what you have to do with infographics. So infographics is basically more graphics, a few numbers, a few keywords on the slide, and that's making a slide an infographic. Okay, infographics are read 30 times more than the same information in text format. 60% of text-based content is forgotten as soon as it is read. Can you please tell me or write in the chat what percentage I told about the percentage of text-based content that is forgotten? Can you please type this in the chat area? I see a few 80s, 80. I definitely said what I read, not what you have read on the slide. And you see already, so while I was talking, so almost everyone is saying 80 because it's 80% here. It's written here. But I said 60% explicitly, and that's just to prove to you that you are reading the text when you arrive, when I switch to this slide. So I read the text that was on my slide, and I said first on the right, infographics are read 30 times more than the same information in text format. And then I said 60% of text-based content is forgotten as soon as it's read. So this proves that you are reading and you are going away from my information on the slide because you're not listening. And that's because we have text on the slide. So let me go to the next slide. This is another way of presenting the same information. So this is just displaying a word, text. You see that 80% there at the bottom. Then you have a hat, an icon of a hat, and 30 times. So the risk is much lower here that you are losing your time by reading the text. So you see the numbers, you see the keywords, you see the visuals, and then you listen to me. And I will tell you that 80% of the text that you are reading on this slide is forgotten when you read it. So this is a graphical information on the slide, the same as the previous one with text. But here you are staying with me, and that's very important. Reasons. Let me give you 10 reasons to use infographics. First of all, infographics illustrate a story more efficiently. Infographics are very effective in condensing details of a long story into visual facts with which people can easily relate to and identify. It can also tell a story in a much friendlier and engaging way compared to simple text. Graphic visuals, along with text, have the ability to leave a lasting impression about a brand and its related message. So that's clear, I guess. The second reason to use an infographic is that humans are visual creatures. It's no question that humans are visual creatures. We make decisions and form opinions about things that we read, hear, and see every single day. We rely heavily on visual cues in order to learn and adapt to our environment. Infographics tap into a primal instinct by helping us visualize concepts and ideas in order for us to connect with an idea and understand it. So we like to see visuals. A good example of this is traffic signs. Let's move on. Infographics highlight important data to improve the position. Infographics are extremely helpful in highlighting important data in order to help us to make better decisions. These can be purchasing decisions, voting decisions, traveling decisions, diet decisions, and so much more. They can directly point to the data you need in order to stay informed and make decisions quicker. The next reason, infographics are very shareable, especially now with social media. If someone sends you a piece of content that is very unique, good looking, informative, and entertaining, it's very likely that you are going to share this with your friends and family. If an infographic clearly explains a point, references useful data, and people generally find it helpful, they are very likely to share it with others. They can be especially helpful inside your digital marketing strategy, because the more people that share your infographics, the more traffic and recognition you will get for your information. Next, they take your reader through a structured process. So you can create an infographic on your slide where you have steps to explain the process that you are describing and giving numbers on. Next reason to use the infographic is that infographics are fun and engaging. You have the freedom to create something funny and engaging. So infographics can be fun and engaging for the audience in order to help them to learn a complicated concept and idea. They can simplify complex points into visual graphics, which sustain the attention of your audience much easier than with other media formats. Infographics can help you to spread brand awareness. If you use the same color or use the same graphical elements always over and over in your infographics, then this will help you for better brand and product awareness for your company. They can help to start conversations. So when you see an infographic somewhere in a commercial space or a mall or a kiosk, and you see that infographic, they will catch your attention. You will have a look, and maybe you may ask some questions to people around the kiosk, more information on the instructions and so on. So they help you to start conversations. Infographics can summarize data efficiently. Using infographics inside your marketing is an efficient way to summarize large data points in a way that it is understandable and engaging to your audience. Most people don't want to spend time and energy reading through massive data files, like you can find in Excel, for example. So if you use an infographic in an excellent way to highlight important data, then your audience is looking for this and will find it more useful. A good example here is when you have a chart of your 12 months of last year production figures, etc. And if you have a spike, for instance, on September, you can what you normally see or often see is that people are using 12 different colors on the month. So if you want, for example, to emphasize the results of September because September is booming, then maybe you can turn all the 11 other months in gray and display that month September in a different color, because then you can focus already on the information there. And then finally, you can provide appealing value to your reporting. Infographics provide a unique experience for readers when they read your report. They create a unique appeal that is difficult to replicate, and can leave a lasting impression to your readers. Those were 10 reasons to use infographics in PowerPoint. So how do you create infographics in PowerPoint? And I have a few examples to share with you. First of all, this one is more like this is a COVID-19 tracker. This is more a dashboard than an infographic, but you can see it in the same way as a infographic. So you have different type of information in there, and it can be updated in real time while you are looking. So that's one option, a dashboard. Here we have a timeline. So you can see a sequential timeline here where you can put highlights on every year and give more information. So this is an infographic, a timeline infographic. Another timeline is this example. It's less strict than the previous one where you have a complete line. Here you can put some numbers in there where you can see that, for example, 2021 is better than 2020 and so on. Here we have a heavily animated slide where we bring the information of how much goods we transported or sold by air and how many goods that we have moved by road. So when you look at this again, you see nice animation, just two words on this and 2 percentages. That's all what it takes to display on this infographic. This is another example. Nice looking, nice colors, some information on it. As you can see, clean design, some animation. There are a few more examples. So this is, for example, a dashboard designed in PowerPoint. It's very easy. Let me break the slideshow. So when you look at this, you see that all the elements here are objects that are inserted via the insert shape. It's saving this temporary, and it's losing time on the fonts. So let me turn this off because this is slow. It's also saving on OneDrive. That's another reason. So I go into options here. Then we go to save, and if you don't have now it's disabled. That's weird. Okay. It's disabled. Okay, we continue. So this is all information that is inserted by using the insert and then the shapes here. And that's how you can build this information. The next one, let me zoom controls are a little bit in my way.
We just had a comment in the audience, Kurt, that John Spain said he hates pie charts. And I asked him what he hated about pie charts, and he said almost nobody understands him. So I think that this is a case where an interesting infographic could do a better job of maybe explaining it than a pie chart might.
I have a pie chart on my slides, and I can share it with you. And it's another approach of displaying a pie chart. Let me show this animation here. So this is a nice looking animation. An infographic is just displaying two numbers basically, and then you have a graphical representation of that number. How do you create something like this? So basically what you have here is one shape where you have a transparent layer in there, and then you have another shape sitting behind that image. So you can move this away like so and put it back. And this one is lying behind the other shape, and you can change the size, the height of the shape to match the value. And now you might be asking, how do you create something like this? So let me show you. So I'm adding a new slide here, and I'm switching here to where is it, the blank one? Okay, so if you want to have a cutout or transparent image like this one here, you basically start by inserting a rectangle first of all. So that's something like this. That's the, basically, let me switch and show you. That's this shape going to be. Then on this shape, or on the slide, I'm going to insert a icon. And let's take the example of a tree. It's loading the icons. I'm going to a tree, and then we better take something like this, and I insert this one. So this is inserted on my slide. I can make it bigger. And now what you can do, or what we have to do, is to make the shape or the tree cut out from the rectangle behind it. So when you select the shape, the rectangle first, and then the tree, then you can go to shape format, and then you have one option here, merge shapes. So I can use the combine function, and then you see a problem because it's not cutting out the tree as I would expect, but it's just cutting out the rectangle. And there's a reason for this. This is a icon, so we can convert this to a shape by just right-clicking the tree, and we select convert to shape. Now we have a shape. I select the rectangle again and the tree, and then we go again to shape format, the merge shape, and then we have combine. So when I choose combine now, it has cut out the black area of the tree from this square. So you don't see this, but let me change the background color here of the slide. So now you see that when you move this around, you are looking through the rectangle. So the tree or whatever object that you are talking about or using in the infographic is cut out from the rectangle. So this is basically the same as you see here on this image. And this is just then another image or another shape. So let me go back to my tree. I can insert a picture here, and again, a shape, something like this. Let's use another color. So we use green for this, and we bring this one to front. So this is basically what is displayed on the previous slide. So now you can, if the value is 50%, for example, you can just put that shape to this. So that's how you can create something like this. Okay, we move on.
Kurt, someone asked if we would send the PowerPoint to them. I don't know what your thoughts were on that.
I think we can share this, yes.
Yeah, and I should mention to everybody, we are recording this session, so if you need to refer back to it later, we will make it available on our YouTube channel, and we'll put a note on our blog so you'll be able to access it. So yes, we can do that.
Yeah, and in there we can share the this PowerPoint file. Okay, this is another example. Nice looking, other different presentation than just using a bar chart, the typical bar chart that you would use for this type of information. So basically, you can insert, or this is a group, as you can see. So you can this is group because of the animation. So if you create multiple cars here, you just group them so that you can animate this as one object. So that's the reason why you are grouping. If you ungroup this, like this, you get 10 cars. So you just insert a car or an MPV, SUV, a sedan, etc. And then you just color. So this one is 80% to whatever we are comparing here. So this is 80%. So we color these 8 cars blue and leave these 2 in gray. So that's how you do this. So how do you create this? You just insert a gray car from the symbols or the images that you have, and you just use shape format, and then you can do the shape fill where you color something like this. So that's very easy, I guess. So design the multiple cars, group it as one, and then you can put some animation on this. So let me run this again. Oh, sorry, I clicked on it. There we have the animation coming up, like so. Another tip I can give you, or a secret, you often see here lorem ipsum text, etc. You see it all the time. Some people are not aware of this. It's basically a dummy text that people are using just to fill in, because sometimes designers are not knowing what exact text that you want to place on the text box there. And there is a little function, so you can type it, of course, but there's a little function in PowerPoint. So if you just have an empty text box, you can type in lorem like this. And when you enter, then you get some dummy text from that lorem ipsum story in here. If that's too long, I just do undo, and if you just want to have one paragraph, for example, you just put a number 1 in there and you hit enter, and then you get just one paragraph of the lorem ipsum text in here. So that's maybe a good tip to fill up the text boxes with dummy information before you send it out.
Kurt, Lurka had a question. How do you animate the shapes?
How do you animate the shapes? Okay, good question. Let me show you. So I just said that you can create a car, you duplicate it, you give it a color, and then you group them. So these were ungrouped, so I can group these 9 here again. So I just right-click, group, and then you get group. So this is now seen as one object on this slide, and we can put some animation on there. So to put some animation on there, you have to select the shape, and then you go to animation, and then, for instance, you can choose a animation that you want to use. So you have, when you open this, you have some entrance animations to get something on the slide. You have some exit animations if you want to remove it afterwards when it was on the slide, and so on. And you can emphasize specific values. So maybe if you have some text and you want to grow, shrink the value, then you can use this information. So imagine that you just want to have a fly in of this text box, or this shape. You select the fly in option here. So you see it flying in. So that's the default value of the animation that you get. So first of all, you choose what entrance animation that you want to use. And then depending on the type of animation that you have chosen here, you have effect options. So default is here. This animation is coming in from the bottom. If you want to have it flying in from the right, you just select this option here, and then you see it like this. So this is how you can add some animation. And then you have a few more options, and always interesting is the animation pane. So when you open this, you get this information where you see all the shapes in here. You can click here to see what will happen. Oh, sorry, I have to go at the top. So the first shape I have to select, and then click the play from, and then you see all the animation. So this is happening when you run the slide. So that group here was my last addition to the animations. So now you see text box 298. And maybe that's a problem because you don't know what it is. So maybe you can click on here, you can play from, and then you see probably where it starts, but it's still difficult to determine what shape text box 298 is. And there is a solution for this. You can always, when you select, let's select that shape or that group here again, you can go to shape format here, and you always have a selection pane here. The selection pane is now opened, and you have every shape that you have on the text box is here represented with a name. So you have text box 312, and you have a visible indicator or icon in there. So I can hide and show some piece of information. So now we see that text box 312 is this 55 million text box here. If you have this group here, you can hide it, and you see that just the car is removed there. If you are clicking on the group 5 here, you see that that information is going away. You can always rename a text box. So by default, you get text box with a number, you get rectangle with a number, and so on. It's always a good idea when you are using animation, because you have so many objects on a slide, to give this a proper name. So you can say sedan group here. And then it's much easier to do the animation. So I can switch back here to the animation pane, and I see here that the sedan group is animated here with these settings. So I can now choose to start on click, start with previous, start with after previous. I have the effect options, and also very important is the timing. So here in the timing, and you also have this here. When you select this, you have typically the duration and the delay. Delay is when the period that you wait between the previous animation and this animation. So for this one, you're waiting 1 second, and then half a second is the animation taking place. So it's very easy to change the information here. So if you select this group here, you can say, I want to animate this, but only, let's say, 2 seconds after the previous animation. And I can choose after previous. And now you see that it's moving after this one. If you want to have a longer animation, and let's exaggerate here, let's take 8 seconds. When I run this, you can see that the last group there of the blue cars is coming in much later than before. So now it's 8 seconds that it is traveling in this animation. So it took 1 second to start and then 8 seconds to move from the right to the left. So that's how you can do some animation. Okay, let's move on. Here is another example. Let's have a look at the animation. It's again about cars, but this is different. So here we have, and this is an interesting setup, you have just the 10 gray cars, and then you have another shape, and that's again cut out just like that 3 example there. And then you have another example or shape here where you are doing the sizing here. So based on the sizing, it is showing 3.5 cars as blue for this category. So this is how you can do this again on infographics. There it is again. And we move to the next slide. Here is the pie chart, Garland. This is a pie chart. Let me show you how you can create this. So basically, you're playing again with a cutout image that you have. Oh, that's the pie. Maybe I have to make it smaller. So this is an image cut out here. The gray area is cut out. It's visible. You can see through it. And then you have the normal pie chart in the back. So this is the normal pie chart that someone was hating to see. But just if you're talking about cars or motorcycles like this one, you just can put some cutout image on top of this and you get a completely different look. So you still have the functionality of the pie chart. It's less a pie than before, than a normal pie, but it's much more appealing. And you still have the numbers here like this. So you always have a double confirmation of what percentage your pie is. Also important, and a mistake that you often see or sometimes see, is sum the percentages that you have on a slide like this. Make sure that you have 100%. Sometimes people end up, if you sum everything, they end up with 108% or something. That's not possible. Make sure that the values are correct on percentages. We move on. That's the motorcycle, the pie chart. And then we have a people counter, I call this. So here you can display people and you can give a color to a specific group. So you can say, for example, that 7 out of, 40 people are coming from the USA, some are coming from Germany, and so on. So this is a nice graphical representation of categories. And here we have a dashboard again. It's a combination of multiple objects here. Let's start the slideshow again and move to the next slide. So now we have some more animated information on this slide, like this. So you can again display a map of the USA. So this is one shape. You can ungroup this. You get all different shapes here. You can select one and then change the colors in there based on whatever is happening in that state. That's how you can create maps in infographics. This is a animation or a slide that I like. It's quite some animation, so it's fun to look at. So let's start again. So you see a buildup of all the elements and the data elements on the slide. And the advantage of this is that you have some 5 seconds of animation on there, and you can start telling about the information on this slide while the slide itself is building up with the animations. So this is a nice slide. And a few other examples. Here again, we have a pie chart, I would say, and this is a pizza infographic. Just a different way of displaying a pie chart. A hamburger, why not? Same information. You get animated information on the calories of a hamburger. And a coffee menu list with pricing information or what they are selling, like this. Okay, we have seen multiple types of infographics that you can design in PowerPoint, and you can use shapes, you can use smart art to display or create shapes on a slide and so on. And basically what you are doing with infographics is that you want to keep the numbers up to date. So if you have production information or this type of information and you have the numbers changing every day or every minute or every week or whatsoever, then maybe you want to automate the numbers and the data that you're showing on the slide. So we have a tool called DataPoint, which is a plugin for PowerPoint that you can use to connect to databases and data files to display real-time information. So here are a few examples. You always have up-to-date information when you open the presentation and when you run the presentation. So basically you're bringing data into presentations. So here you see on the left top, you see an Excel file with flight information. Then you have the design in PowerPoint, and by using DataPoint and combining the data and the slide, you can display real-time information on the slide. Here is another dashboard or infographic where we are displaying graphical information. So we have numbers in this Excel file, and we are just representing that number as an infographic on the slide. So that's something that you can automate with DataPoint, and that's another example created in DataPoint. Sorry. We have a special action running till valid till Sunday. We can give you as a viewer of this webinar a 50% discount on all the products that we have on PresentationPoint. You just have to use this webinar, the coupon code here, webinar 06 2021, and then you can have a look at our products. Also, our product DataPoint, you can download it as a free trial, 15-day trial from the website, and you can play around. You can connect to SQL Server, databases, text files, Excel files, etc., to automate the information that you want to show on your infographics, like this. Other questions, Garland?
Not yet that I see. I noticed on the slide that you've got there, I think something I wanted to point out is where you've got the air and the road numbers. So DataPoint could connect to those numbers in real time. So if this month suddenly you were shipping 67% by air, that would change automatically. So that would have an impact there, that you can connect your infographics to real-time data.
Yes, that's correct. So maybe let's take this example. So with data point, so here you see data point added to the PowerPoint ribbon. You can create a connection via this option here, list connections. And then, for example, you can connect to Microsoft Excel. You can point to a specific file, select a data sheet, arrange. You can set a refresh rate to maybe every second or every 60 seconds or whatsoever. You get all the information from the Excel file here as a raw data, a preview here, and then you can use this normal text box on PowerPoint and link this to a specific cell of the Excel file. The advantage of using DataPoint is that you have automated reporting. You always have the latest information on your slide, so you don't have to wait for someone to finish copy pasting and opening the Excel file, copying the correct numbers to the PowerPoint for reporting, or before you can start a meeting. So you just, once that you have a connected presentation connected by data point, connected to your database, you just open the presentation and that value 18 and 23 that you have here and all the other numbers on the slides are updated automatically at opening time. And
yes, if anybody else has any other questions, start typing them in the chat and so we can get to them. So
no.
Some comments people had earlier when you were showing the animation of the items was very, very helpful. Thank you, and thank you for explaining that. So that part together is there. John, who dislikes pie charts, thought two blues together were odd, and I said, well, Kurt likes less colors than me. I love to go with the wildest set of colors, and Kurt's more minimalist. But
yes. You have the freedom to choose the colors and the intensity of colors, etc. But I guess that it's very important for your design that you give a proper name to the shapes, like I have shown here, the sedan group. It's much easier later on when you're doing the animations because text box with a given number it doesn't say much to you. So give it a proper name always, and that's always interesting.
Yeah, and Gail makes the comment, I see website in the miscellaneous group in the data point tab. How does that work?
Okay, that's just when you click on this, you get to the PresentationPoint website. So it's just that if you did not remember the name of the company of DataPoint, then you get to presentationpoint.com. But maybe more interesting is the web URL that you can use. So you can insert a shape on a slide, and then you can click the web URL where you can enter the URL of the website or the web page that you want to display. And then DataPoint is making a picture snapshot of that website and using that website then as an image on the slide. So it's instead of displaying a website that is built up at opening time. So you typically see this on news websites. You see the first of all the headlines, the text, etc. Then the images are coming in. Then you see some AdWords, etc. It's easily taking 3 seconds to build up a website in your browser, or if you're displaying this on a slide. So by using this web URL feature in DataPoint, we are grabbing an image of a specific web page in the background. So when you present that information to your audience, you already have a finished website that you're showing as an image, as a picture on the slide.
And
So
one example for how I use that is I was showing a fire map of the province, like where the fires were right now, and then embedding that so that it would be updating every time they updated that map of where the fires were. Okay, Lurka has asked, on the gas and biodiesel slide, do you just use a fade up animation to animate the tanks filling?
You mean this one here? Let's have a look. The animation is here. Yeah, that's a fade in from the bottom that you have on the, it's a wipe. It's a wipe. So it's a wipe from the bottom.
And I loved what you showed about the cutout shape, because I hadn't picked up on that before. I'm going, well, how is he just filling the image part of the of the picture, like instead of a whole bar going up, right? So that's awesome when you showed that.
Yeah,
That was a really
that's interesting. It's very easy, and you can create something like this very quickly in PowerPoint. You just have to draw through the rectangle and then the object, and always the insert from icons is very helpful because you get tons of images, simple images from there, just black and white and so on. So it's very easy to create something like this, and it adds another dimension to your graphics. And even like that pie chart, when you put that motorcycle on top of the pie chart, it's a completely other dimension of pie chart.
So Danielle has said, if you have a PowerPoint running, for example, on digital signage, if you update your data source, do you have to stop, save, and refresh the PowerPoint for the changes to show?
No. That's by using DataPoint, you can update the information when you open the presentation, but when you are running a presentation on a dedicated screen like digital signages, so just like flight information at the airport, you have the slideshow running, and it's DataPoint that is connecting to the data source and updating the text box while the slideshow is running. So if I would have flight information on this slide, for example, I can just run the slideshow and you will see live updates on the text boxes, on the images, on the tables, on the charts, whatever that I'm using in this slide. So normally without DataPoint, you have to stop the presentation, make the changes and restart, etc. But with digital signage and DataPoint running, then you don't have to stop the slideshow anymore.
Yeah, the Sotheby's auction slide that Kurt had shown, for example, is showing real-time bids in an auction in I think 7 different currencies. In real time. So, they can't stop every time somebody's got a bid, change the bid and update the slide. That just can't be done. So this is connected in real time. I don't know, it's a lot more currencies now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There's 11 different currencies. So
yeah, and just to give some background information, this is a large television running a PowerPoint slideshow where they are using DataPoint to connect to a simple Microsoft Access database. So they have one base currency, depending on the country that they are running the bidding. And then based on the increments on the bids, they just change the other numbers based on the current exchange rate. So that's just a simple Microsoft Access database in the back, DataPoint in between, and keeping this updates alive. And the refresh rate is not even 1 second, it's set to 10 milliseconds. So it's updating very fast on the screens.
So Gail says that's awesome. Thank you. Great tool. Lurka says thank you. Danielle says thanks for clarifying that. Any other questions? That's all we've got for now. But if anybody's got one more question each or something, go ahead.
And here you see BMW Golf Tournament. They are running, as you can see, one single PowerPoint slideshow on a video wall. So they have 36 screens there chained as a video wall. It's just one real-time slideshow that you're running on that video wall. PowerPoint.
So I don't see any more questions, Kurt. So I guess you answered all of them.
Perfect. Let me just finish one more time with the coupon code that people can use. So have a look at our products, especially for DataPoint. And if you want to run digital signage, have a look at iPoint or SignageTube. SignageTube is also a great digital signage solution where you can use a smart TV and then you can upload a PowerPoint to SignageTube, which is a web application. You upload a PowerPoint, we convert your PowerPoint into an MP4, and we send that MP4 to your smart TV. The advantage is that you don't have to use a computer like before. You just have a smart TV where you have Android on board on the smart TV. and you are able to run a movie. So the Signage Tube player is copying the movie file physically on the Android computer and then running that movie, which can be your advertising or information screen. And I call this Netflix for companies, and it's basically the same idea of Netflix, but then with your own movies or advertising.
So Gail asked, is the discount available at PresentationPoint.com? And yes, this coupon discount. So you go to PresentationPoint.com, choose the product, and then you go ahead and enter this discount when you're in the shopping cart. So you can do that. Halsey asked, would you be able to run this on a Raspberry Pi? And I'll let Kurt answer that.
DataPoint, not. I guess that's related to DataPoint, because DataPoint is a COM add-in, and that's a technology that's made available by Microsoft, which is available on Microsoft on Windows platform only. But if you are looking for a cheap solution to display the PowerPoint presentations, then you can use that Smart TV option, or let me grab one. There is a solution. This is a TV stick that you can use and plug in to your television. It costs $50, and that's an Android computer. It's a complete Android computer where you can install the Signage Tube app on this device, small device, and then it's able to receive the movies or the PowerPoints that you are uploading to the system. So it's a little bit more expensive than the Raspberry Pi, but it's the same functionality at the cheap, fair price, without running Windows updates every week on the computers.
Okay, and I think that's all of them. Halsey says okay about the Raspberry Pi question. So
okay. Perfect. If we have no further questions,
John says thank you very much.
We can finalize this webinar, I guess. Thank you all for watching.
Gail says awesome. Thank you both so much. We'll be watching the replay and practicing, and now everybody's coming in with the thank yous. The replay will be up probably by Friday on our YouTube channel. So so look for it there and you'll be able to find it.
So it will be available on the YouTube channel as well as a blog article on the Presentation Point website.
Yep.
Just go to blog and then you can find the last article there.
Great, everybody's saying awesome, thank you. So I think we are done here. So
perfect. Good job.